I've been a big fan of Game Pass. I've been a big fan of Xbox since they've turned it around from last generation, talking all of the TV, and football and Call of Duty, and TV, and TV. And I do believe that Xbox Game Pass is an amazing value, and it's good for developers and small companies to be able to get on the Game Pass platform if it works for them. But today I want to take the other side. Today we're going to talk about reasons why Game Pass is bad for developers. That episode is right now. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Assemble. I'm Matt. How you doing? It's Wednesday. Ow! It's hump day. There's no humps over here. How are you guys doing? It's been a great day. If you do enjoy this show all the way through to its entirety, give it a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button. That lets me know that you're alive and you're doing okay. How are you? Is everything good? I worry. So Xbox Game Pass here. Today, I want to talk about the other side. A lot of you guys in the community and online have been talking, leaving your comments, and I love it. And I love talking to all of you. And what I've been hearing is the goods and the bads. We did an episode covering Sega and Konami, and if some point down the road Xbox actually acquired these studios, what would it mean? And would it be a good thing and the games they could get and yada yada. It was a good episode, had fun. But what I do see is a lot of people talking about how it's bad, how it can be bad that there is a monopoly and that there could be a monopoly across Xbox and Sony. But today we're going to talk about why Game Pass as a service overall is bad for developers. Right now we're getting games like Outriders. We have Bethesda acquisition with all of those games, and they've already, as soon as they signed it and it was all good to go, they immediately just dumped 20 games over on Game Pass and xCloud, and everyone's running wild.
What you gonna do when the largest arms in the world and the power of Hulkamania destroy you?
Thank you, Hulk Hogan. But what if it's bad long term? Game developers really have the opportunity to join Game Pass and see maybe a smaller title that they have really flourish and go bananas and go giant, like a Rocket League or a Destiny and so on. But could it be bad that if we see too many developers jump on the bandwagon and Microsoft acquires them and makes them an offer they can't refuse, basically, because if they throw so much money at them, a game developer, a smaller company, has a really good opportunity to do this, but then they're stuck under the umbrella of Game Pass. And over time, and as we are excited right now for all of these games and having this exclusivity over on Game Pass, in 3 to 5 years or 10 years, are there going to be enough independent companies out there that won't be gobbled up by an Xbox or Sony? With Microsoft having the backing and having billions of dollars to be able to leverage at any point to get the return on their service, and Xbox making it very clear, and Phil Spencer making it extremely clear that Game Pass is the direction they're going to, xCloud, PC, cross-platform play, all of this stuff is really the mission and the goal for them long term, because they believe that it is the entire ecosystem and it is Game Pass that is going to be the main kicker long term. But what if you saw a game like Rocket League, or you see games like Outriders or Destiny or anything else that's coming across the board outside of your first party studio titles like a Gears of War and a Halo? What if more and more of these titles that are scheduled to come out across platforms get swooped up by Game Pass? Do you feel that this would end up impacting gamers long term, and do you think that it would actually hurt the business in the industry overall if everything is basically going to be lumped up to either Nintendo, Xbox, or Sony? Because on the Sony side, it ends up leaving, to me, a lot of just first party AAA titles, these giant bangers of titles like God of War and Spider-Man that we absolutely love, and they're spectacular games. But it worries me that you would get on the Xbox side so many titles scooped up, so many developers, smaller developers that look at it and say, it's a good opportunity to look at 17, 18 million subscribers across Game Pass that continues to grow and elevate every day. It's great exposure. It's great for you as a developer to be able to get your smaller title or your big title even more exposure, or give it a second life. I think of Marvel's Avengers. That would actually work well on Game Pass right now. That's a different conversation. But here's another issue and concern. If you monopolize gaming industry with Game Pass, and even PlayStation Now, if they were going in that direction of trying to scoop up as many of these smaller developers as possible, the problem is with something as big as Game Pass and its library already, and as they cycle games in and out of the system, on a monthly basis and quarterly basis, the problem is games can get lost. And my concern would be that it looks good on paper for a developer to say we are going to get guaranteed money and revenue for this project, for this IP that we have been working on for years, and we're proud of it, and we want to be able to get it out to as big of an audience as possible. But maybe it's the concern that it's not necessarily going to take off. And Game Pass is a great opportunity for them, but the downside is that they can get lost in the shuffle of a sea of titles. Think about our Netflix collection, guys. When you see what's on your list, you have your My List, and you have your top go-tos that you're going to leverage, like all of your main shows that you want to see or movies that you're about to watch. And then you have all of the recommendations and all the brand new releases, and those are always going to be at the top. You have to dig. You have to dig through these streaming services to find hidden gems and all of these titles that really you didn't even think were out there, documentary series that are really awesome that you weren't exposed to because they're not right in your face. And if they don't succeed and if they don't get enough going and leverage and clicks and people engaging with it, then it could end up falling off. And then Game Pass could end up over time, after say a year, remove that title from Game Pass or cycle it out. And it doesn't give the developer enough opportunity to really get its fans out there to see this game. The other thing it can do, though, is that it creates almost this junk food mentality of being able to go online and be able to jump in, jump out of titles. That's a positive thing because it can get people exposure to titles like Outriders that's coming out April 1st, exposure to titles that people may not have clicked on, that would not pay full price for. But the other and the counter side that we're looking at today is this can hurt it because it gives people over time this mentality that games are cheaper, that I can jump in and out however I want, and I don't need to commit to anything for more than an hour. I can play a game like Outriders for an hour and jump out and I'm done. That's great for the consumer, but it can really hurt the game itself and the developers. And if people are consistently jumping out of titles and not getting in there, could be that the game isn't good, and could be that it is not as valuable and it is not performing well overall. Could just be a bad game. But a game that shows promise, that is good, that, you know, people on Reddit and community forums say that it is good, it's a great title. If it's not going to get enough momentum, it can fall by the wayside. And that's true for any title, right? It could be a AAA game and it's going to fall off because it just didn't work. Hello, Anthem. My concern is that games get lost in the shuffle and they become almost this giant sale bin that you see at your GameStop and your EB Games. That you walk in and you see your heavy hitter, new releases and first-party AAA titles all plastered around, and then you have the bin, and you have the bin of these $5 titles, and some of them you flip through and you're like, these were awesome, but they're not going to get any love and care and attention. Having a monopoly on the game industry could be bad, and it could be worrisome for a lot of people out there, is that you are only going to have 3 houses to basically pick from. You could go independent, stay independent, and put it on your platform, but it could end up being more lucrative and really just kind of the push from these big companies like Xbox or Sony or Nintendo to say, well, come under our platform exclusively, and that's it. Whereas it could have been more beneficial if they were available on everything or on PC. But as games on Xbox become more available, readily available, more available on crossplay, xCloud, PC, it makes it harder and harder for anybody to be able to say, I just want to be able to have my game on everything and I don't want to be tied up to one company. Because what if people get a sour taste in their mouth for a service like Game Pass and they don't find it as valuable down the road? What if it becomes too much of just junk food and then people feel like they're just not getting that great AAA experience that they're looking for, or they can't find enough of the quality titles? Because maybe it's just that they're overwhelmed by having too much, and Sony and Nintendo look at curating their content more to say, here is our AAA collection. We have a Mario, we have Zelda, we have Donkey Kong, we have Mario Kart, we have all of these amazing prime AAA titles, and that's our focus. And if Xbox goes into this broad umbrella of acquiring Bethesda, for example, and saying, here are 20 games already that are coming at it, I look at it today and go, it's really hard for me to just pick up, Dishonored, that I want to be able to get in and play, but it's almost the distraction of, I can play this, I can play this, I can play this, I can play this, and then inevitably turn around and say, oh, Sony released God of War or Ratchet and Clank, and now I'm over there. There's a lot of mind share that has to go into all of this, and Xbox is doing a great job by marketing Game Pass as the destination to play a just a plethora and giant library of game titles across the board. But having the monopoly of all of these games and developers could be a risk for them, where they won't get the discoverability that they need, the love, care, and attention they need if they're not performing well out of the gate. And if they slip off, maybe Outriders does extremely well in April, but maybe it does okay and it gets a really hardcore fan base. Great for them, and the title is there. But if it doesn't perform at the level that they want, it could limit them from being able to develop Outriders 2. So that's my rant. That's what I'm talking about. What do you guys think? Do you think that having the monopoly on the games industry by a couple of major companies like Xbox and Sony and Nintendo is a bad thing? And do you think it would actually hurt developers? Let me know in the comments below. We're really just trying to take one side of the coin and look at it from the other perspective to say, maybe it's not all great. And maybe there are things that we need to be concerned about long term as we are now going down this clear path of games as a service, of having a subscription model and paying into that. And the last thing to say is that Xbox and Game Pass can't stay at $20 a month forever. We look at our Netflix subscriptions already, and that has been going up and up and up. As more and more content comes out, we end up paying more for it. It's an amazing entry value right now, but I wonder what Game Pass Ultimate is going to look like in 3 years, and we're paying $30, $40, $50 a month. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us here on Assemble. I'm Matt. I want to have a quick conversation with you about all things Xbox. I am enjoying it. I am enjoying Game Pass. I love all of the deals that are out there right now and the options that it is giving gamers, but it's also important to look at why we might be hesitant and why we might have some concerns as gamers and why it might not always be a great thing for developers. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. As always, thank you guys for assembling with us. See ya.